Why comparing yourself to others can be destructive. Everyone compares themselves to others from time to time. It is a natural thing for humans to do. But often these comparisons can be really destructive. When you compare yourself to another person for the wrong reasons, you are actually looking at how your worth as a person compares to yours. There are some people that have got into the habit of comparing themselves to others so much that they do it on an almost daily basis, and sometimes more than once a day. They do it with their friends and family, at work with their colleagues, and even with famous people. So why can this be so bad for you to do? Bitterness and anger. You are at work and you get the news that another coworker has received a promotion. This person is younger than you and joined the team later than you did. In your opinion, they are just average and they didn't deserve to get promoted before you did. So what happens here? You go into a negative thought spiral that runs around in your head for most of the day. How dare they promote this person before me? The negative spiral makes you start to doubt your own ability, so you experience thoughts like, I am not good enough, and nobody here respects me. What you are not taking into account is that this person has been attending night classes to learn about business and management. They have also taken on projects that you would never take on because they could go wrong, and that is just too risky for you. You are totally bitter about this situation. Every time you arrive in the office, the negative thought spiral kicks in. Now your bitterness towards this person has turned to anger and you do everything that you can to avoid them. The person invites you to celebrate with them, but you find an excuse not to attend. Before this person received the promotion, you had no problem with them at all. You used to talk to them all the time and even laugh and joke with them. Now everything has changed. You are just bitter and resentful. This is a very bad situation. Every time you go to your office, you feel bitterness and anger. This is not good for your health or your self-esteem. You are not interested in the backstory and the person's efforts to achieve promotion. You have not done any of these things and expect everything to just fall into your lap. Impact on self-esteem. One of the most dangerous things about negative comparisons is the harm that it does to your self-esteem. You probably don't realize this is happening, but you are thinking that you were overlooked for promotion because you are not good enough. When your self-esteem takes a hit like this, it can be devastating for you. If you rant and rave about the situation to others in your team, then they quickly tire of your complaining and you can lose their support. This in turn makes your self-esteem crash even more. What you can do? Try to see the positive side of things rather than the negative. Find out how the person got the promotion and use this as inspiration so that you can embark on a similar journey. Whining and complaining when things like this happen will get you nowhere. It will just make you feel terrible and can lead to lots of other problems. Why do we compare ourselves to others? The first thing to say here is that it is totally natural for you to want to compare yourself with others, so there is no reason to feel bad about this. What is important is how these comparisons make you feel about yourself. When you think about it, if you don't compare yourself to other people, how can you know where you stand and how well you are doing? Since you were a child, you learned to compare yourself to others. It is hardwired into your brain, but this doesn't mean that you cannot change your approach to comparisons so that they benefit you. The Festinger research. Nowadays there is a lot of research work into why people compare themselves to others, but back in the 1950s there was hardly any. At that time there was a social psychologist called Leon Festinger that had a strong interest in the subject, so he decided to run a number of studies on why people compared themselves to others. After he completed the studies, he concluded two things. 1. People like to compare themselves to others as a way of reducing the uncertainty in their lives. 2. Comparing themselves with others provided them with clues of how they should think and behave. This was a revolutionary breakthrough in psychology at the time. What Festinger discovered was that each one of us do not have the capability intrinsically or on our own to define who we are. We need to use comparisons with other people to achieve this. Another important breakthrough was that when there is a huge gap between one person and another in terms of, say, intellect, ability, character and so on, that there would be less chance of a comparison occurring. He concluded from this that we are far more likely to make comparisons with people that we consider to be similar to ourselves than those that are totally different. So as an example, it is far more likely for you to compare yourself with another team member at work than it is to make a comparison with the CEO. Importance matters. We all have people in our lives that we consider important. In this situation you will experience a lot more pressure to try and be like these people. So if they have a specific opinion about something, then you will try to conform to that opinion because you think that the person is very important. So if you ask someone important in your life for some advice about something, you are far more likely to accept their advice than you are if you asked the same question online and a total stranger offered different advice. You are not objectively weighing up the two sets of advice you receive. Two different reasons to compare yourself to others. As with most things in life, there is a good and a bad way to make comparisons with other people. The bad way can provide you with some short-term benefits, but if it goes wrong it can cause you a great deal of pain. The good method will not create any pain in your life at all and should be beneficial always. The bad way to compare yourself to others is to do it to validate how good you are. You choose a person that you know is weaker than you in an area that you excel and use this for an ego boost. The good way is to make comparisons for your own development. You want to achieve a specific goal, so you seek out people that have already done this and learn from them. Can you see the difference here? Why validating yourself through comparisons is bad? We all make comparisons with others throughout our lives. Sometimes a comparison can be really good for you and other times it can be bad. There are people that make comparisons based on jealousy and other negative emotions. These will usually have negative consequences, such as making a person feel terrible and lowering their self-worth. Then there are good comparisons. These are when a person wants to improve their life and looks to someone else to understand the gap that they need to close to achieve their goals. Maybe they have a gap in terms of knowledge and experience, and once they know what this is, then they can create a plan to close the gap. Using comparisons to validate how good you are. Then we have the comparisons that some people make to validate how good they are. There is some good intent here, as they want to confirm that they are still great at something. This is a very common type of comparison that happens every day all across the world. Let's say that a person is very good at making money. They then compare themselves with someone that is always broke and is the complete opposite of them. When they compare their lives, the person that is good at making money gets an ego boost, while the person that is broke ends up even more depressed. But what if this comparison went wrong? If you are the person that is good at making money and you come across a stranger that looks poor to you, how can your comparison for an ego boost fail? Well, you do not know anything about this person and appearances can be very deceptive. You are assuming that they don't know how to make money like you do based solely on their appearance. You don't really know what their financial position is, so you think to yourself that you have been right every time in the past, so you are going to give the comparison with this stranger a shot and you are feeling confident. But it turns out to be a disaster because the person has a lot more money than you and knows many more money-making methods than you do. How do you react to this? You are in the company of friends and colleagues who are in a state of shock over this. They begin to act warmly towards the stranger because he is their new idol. Do you become bitter and even angry over this? It is very likely, isn't it? Other downsides of validation comparisons: with a validation comparison, there is always likely to be a winner and a loser. It is like a competition and the loser is probably going to be pretty unhappy. In the scenario above, the person thought he was going to be victorious and then came crashing down to earth. If you use the same people for your validation comparisons, it will not take long for them to get fed up with this ridiculing and start to avoid you. They will quickly spread the word about you as well. For the validation comparer, the world can be a pretty lonely place. Using validation comparisons rarely move people forward in their lives. They have got to a point where they are content to wallow in their victories at the expense of others, but they are not setting themselves any new challenges and growing as a result. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below what you think about this video, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.